I think AI will probably, like most likely, sort of lead to the end of the world, but in the meantime...
The secret in the AI industry right now is that it's possible that we'll end up essentially creating a new species that ends up ruling the world with a 70% chance that this goes horribly wrong, like human extinction. That's one possibility. There's many more.
It's quite chilling what you're saying.
Yeah, it gets me down sometimes.
Is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see. Most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You are stuck. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you prove that white is white and black is black. You still cannot change the basic perception and the law. The process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. To get rid society of these people, you need another 20 or 15 years to educate a new generation of patriotically minded and common sense people who would be interests of the United States society.
And yet these people who've been programmed and, as you say, in place, and
Yes.
who are favorable to an opening with the Soviet concept, these are the very people who would be marked for extermination in this country?
Most of them, yes.
Great morning, great morning, great morning. It's another day in paradise. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for everything. Worlds of gratefulness over here. So first and foremost, I want to pray and say I hope that happiness, health, and certainty is upon you all. And what we're going to cover today is probably the most important thing on my mind today. I'm going to read something from, it says, Stoic Advice from Year 50, Epictetus. Be suspicious of convention. Take charge of your own thinking. Ruse yourself from the days of unexamined habit. Popular perceptions, values, and ways of doing things are rarely the wisest. Many pervasive beliefs would not pass appropriate tests of rationality. Conventional thinking, its means and ends, is essentially uncreative and uninterested. Its job is to preserve the status quo for overly self-defended individuals and institutions. On the other hand, there is no inherent virtue in new ideas. Judge ideas and opportunities on the basis of whether they are life-giving. Give your assent to that which promotes humaneness, justice, beneficial growth, kindness, possibility, and benefit to the human community. Examine things as they appear to your own mind. Objectively consider what is said by others, and then establish your own convictions. Socially taught beliefs are frequently unreliable. So many of our beliefs have been acquired through accident or irresponsible or ignorant teaching. Many of these beliefs are so deeply ingrained that they are hidden from our own view. The commonplace sluggishness of the lives lived by the undisciplined is dangerously contagious, for we are often exposed to no alternative, healthful way of living. Awaken and be vigilant. Take stock of your habits to preserve your higher standards. Wow. Now why and how come did I begin with that? If this passage was written so long ago, how is it so applicable today? Stoics. There's so many points I want to get into. A segment of the beginning of what we just saw of Yuri Bezmenov speaking about how to control and manipulate societies and human thinking. Now, I don't know about you, but I know about me, and I'm Team Human all the way, through and through. Now, wherever and whatever we come from in the reality of that, I am still Team Human. I am for our human consciousness, for our human way of thinking. And are we perfect? No. But do we have goodness, kindness, humaneness, justice? The things that are stated here. Do we still have that to our core? And I believe we do. To examine things as they appear to your own mind. To me, that simply states question everything. Question your own thoughts, question your own beliefs, question your own teachings. And that's something I say to my kid all the time. I say, always ask why and how over and over and over again, to the point of annoyance. The next phrase in that, objectively consider what is said by others. How many of us are objective to new information? Not only new information, how many of us are objective to whatever they call, whether it's misinformation, malinformation, whatever it may be? What I'm getting at is, are we still objectively listening to people people who we know are in the wrong. Because that's important. It's important because one, well, it's important that we communicate. Two, we're helping the other person to release whatever emotion, feelings, and thoughts that they are bottling up. And so we don't want to get to the point to where they implode and explode on ourselves or on another individual. So it is important that we listen objectively, even if we know for a fact that what we're hearing is incorrect. You think of when Yuri Bezmenov just said. Now, if I'm correct, that was taken in like the 70s or 80s, and part of me goes, touche. Another part of me goes, we need to allocate another 15 to 20 years to revamp how we think as a whole. Because now we have proof that we've been manipulated on a social level. That is one of the most powerful aspects of what he said. You can blatantly show someone the facts. Here's the facts. This is white. This is black. Right? I don't mean in any race or whatever like that. Just for the example of what he says. And they will still tell you that it's not. Think about the power of manipulation that has been done to that individual. We're showing you that it's like that is A, but yet you insist that it's B for some reason. Popular perceptions, values, and ways of doing things are rarely the wisest. Many pervasive beliefs would not pass as appropriate tests of rationality. Its job is to preserve the status quo for overly self-defended individuals and institutions. Let's think about this on every scale, or some scales that I've experienced. Last year, representatives from my child's school thought it would be appropriate to pull the children out from school to go protest. Now, how would it look if I pulled your child or someone else's child from what is supposed to be a safe place of learning and education and put them in harm's way? Because this teacher is so brainwashed that they do not care about harming children for their beliefs of what they believe is right and wrong, even though. But to me, that's just mind. Where's the common sense in that? And these are the educators. It's stated right here. 2,000 some odd years ago. And then stated 50 some odd years ago, in the 1970s and 80s. Now take that up a scale. COVID. Anthony Fauci. He is now, at the time of this recording, is now going back to court for his bullshit, for his lies, his deception, to preserve the status quo for overly self-defended individuals and institutions. This man had a belief, and to protect his belief, and he's been doing this for his whole career, he killed millions and millions and millions of people. All because of ego. All because he didn't want to be wrong. When he's been wrong his whole career. We can sit here and sponge ourselves into the problems, into identifying the problems and complaining about the problems and all of this, and where does it ultimately lead us? Nowhere. So how do we reverse the cause? Or I should say, how do we reverse the course? Once I learn to read my cursive, I'm going places. How do we reverse the course of the current trajectory? In my opinion, and I really don't care what people think or will say, we need to get back to the old days. Less reliance on technology, emphasis on human labor, not slavery, but doing shit with our hands. Even I am not put in debt as my father was in the generation before him and his generation. Even I have work to do. Our school system. Schools should be the most objective institutions in our country. Personal beliefs by any student and or teacher shall not hold any precedent over objective facts. Reprioritize funding. Give teachers incentive. Right? Adjust the standards for students. No longer have this no child left behind. I have come across too many young adults around the age of between 18 and 25 who do not have common, basic life functioning skills. Addition, subtraction, division, reading. I believe that the current grading is pretty absurd. If I remember correctly, a B was if you had a 91%, that was a B, or 84.5 and below was a C. 79 was a D. And if you got below a 79, just transfer schools. That's what I did. I went to the hard school. Thank you for your time, thank you for your energy. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your understanding. And I don't know where we're gonna go with this. But I do know that it takes a collective human consciousness for us to get to the world that we imagine. See you next time.